Yes. Actually, I'm parking alongside the road. I didn't make it at home from the crazy listing that appointment I had.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, Pat.
Actually,
We are
okay.
now live on YouTube.
I'm parking alongside the road. I didn't make it at home from the crazy listing that appointment I had.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, Pat. We are
Okay.
now live. Sorry about that. Had my volume on YouTube, so it was echoing. So everyone is here. Thank you so much for coming, Pat. I guess you can call the meeting to order.
Okay, and I do just that, call the meeting to order.
Okay, so 6:07. If anyone's watching live, sorry for tardiness and getting started. We had a couple of issues. But this, I don't have any changes to the agenda either. In case someone else wanted to add something. I doubt that was the case, but that is on the agenda if needed. But this is really just a procedural thing, an administrative issue that Phoebe and I would have taken care of, but then we realized this is in policy and we need you guys to take care of it. So as I explained in the budget packet email, we've just had this has been this way since I've started, I think since the beginning, that all staff fill out time cards from the 1st to the 15th, and they have to fill it out before the 15th. So in this case, for this month example, we have to have it turned in by tomorrow. So 5 days before the end of the payroll period, which means that we are always filling in and guessing and just filling in our scheduled work time. But there are sicknesses, there are, especially with manager things, people might work later and adjust for a different day. And so especially if they affect payroll, then after the fact in the next payroll period, we have to report that on the time card, say adjustment, took sick leave on 7/14. And then Phoebe has to go back into the payroll system and make all of those adjustments. And, depending on the season, it can be a lot of them. Sometimes it's none. But this is, Phoebe did a ton of work figuring out the PERS requirements, which is complicated and not something that is worth explaining, honestly. It's more than you need to know. But essentially, this just gets us so that we don't have to do that anymore. So that we'll fill out our time cards on the 15th when that pay period ends. And then instead of her having to have all the payroll done, and so we get paid on the 15th or by the 15th, it bumps it so we get paid on the 20th and on the 5th. So I sent that policy change out that just made those two changes. And that's all that I need from the board is to adjust that policy.
So the employees know that they'll be getting paid 5 days later?
Yeah. We talked to them and ran it by everyone, and everyone said it's not a problem.
Good.
Yeah.
So I did have a
great deal of sense.
Yeah. And it was just an ordeal to figure out, or we would have done it a long time ago. Phoebe has looked into it before. I've looked into it before. Other agencies do it in weird ways that kind of result in, from according to Phoebe, like kind of fudging your PERS reporting, which we don't want to get into that, So this is just, yeah, it makes sense. It should have been done a long time ago, I think, but it just is one of those things that requires some major adjustments and shifting. And so the work just didn't get done because it was a lot of work to do. So.
Okay, so they were being paid on the last day of the month?
Yeah, 15th and then the last day of the month. And now we'll get paid on the 15th will move to the 20th, and then the last day of the month will move to the 5th of the following month.
So at the end of the year, they're going to be short one paycheck on their total for the annual.
They won't. We've worked out a way where we can like stagger it, and so they won't be short any pay periods, and they will meet what their annual expected income is for the year.
Okay.
But it all fits within what we've budgeted. So it's just swapping out a day and getting us started rolling in the new.
Good. Thank you.
Dates.
I see Kathleen and Sue have their hands up.
Sue was first.
Go ahead, Sue.
Thank you. I totally understand why you want to pursue this. I'm amazed that we have been doing payroll this way for so long. It is fairly irregular to do it the way that we have been doing it for obvious reasons. My only question is, if the 5th of the month happens to fall on a holiday, and
Mhm.
let's say the 5th of the month is a Monday, and that's a holiday, and so they can't get paid on Sunday,
It'll always
they'll
be
get,
the last business day.
then
It
it
will
would be
bump it
back to
back.
the 3rd. So is
Yeah.
3 days really enough time to do it
it
still?
is. It is. I've planned it all out and I've actually done the calendar for the rest of this year and for next year. There will be days that I will have to process payroll on the day time cards are due, but people will be working that day. So that one will be it, but that'll happen like once or twice a year
Mhm.
where we'll have to play with that. That's been one of my hangups and concerns because of the holidays, the weekends, the time period of processing for the direct deposits. And again, the PERS reporting requirement piece was a real sticky point. So yeah, it will work. Like Julie
I
said, I've spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. So
I don't doubt you, Phoebe. I am sure you have invested an incredible amount of time in this. My only question is, a lot of businesses don't pay until 7 days after the last day of the pay period. Is there some reason why we're not electing 7 days?
because of how quickly we have to report to PERS, and I've also talked with other government entities and who have the same reporting. So our reporting requirements with PERS are based on when our pay period days are, and it's legislatively mandated. So it's ORS.
Okay.
And typically those people who pay from the 1st to the 15th and do semi monthly like we do, the 5th and the 20th are the same days that they process also. And it works. I calendared it all out to see if it would work before I even brought it to Julie, and it will.
Okay, I just hate to see you scrambling on those few occasions when you're right up against the wire. I hate to see people have to scramble.
It already works that way sometimes. So anyways, because of holidays and the number of days and when it has to hit the bank, it already works that way sometimes. So the one thing that I've been able to do previously is I could always move the days up ahead a little bit if necessary. But now it'll just be pretty much fixed that it'll be the 1st and the 16th, that it basically is the processing days. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which usually will give me extra days. It's very rare that it'll be on the day, with the right timing. So it'll work out.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I've been super nervous about it for years. And the PERS piece, I spent hours and hours on the phone with one of the supervisors from PERS, and finally felt like all the pieces were in enough order that I could give the information to Julie, and I'm really relieved to have this off my brain space.
Yeah. And I will say, Sue, like there was a time where I thought, why don't we just shift everything? Like there, a lot of jobs I've had, there's a pay gap between when you start and you get paid it, you miss the first payroll period. And it conflicts with PERS reporting.
Okay, well, that's actually something I don't know anything about.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the complication piece that we could do a bunch of changes if it weren't for PERS.
Yeah, if it wasn't for PERS, this would be very different. But because of that piece, it just makes it like this is the way it's going to work to be able to do it.
Well, thank you for addressing that. I'm sorry I can't buy you 2 more days, but apparently that's the way it needs to be. Thank you.
You tried, didn't you, Sue?
I did.
Yeah, and I really, like I said, I'm not worried about it. I've looked through, and we're all good with the dates that way.
Okay.
Kathleen?
So yeah, my only comment, and I think you probably have answered it. I was going to ask, is there a reason why we don't pay bi-weekly? But it sounds like it's a PERS thing, and that would change things more than I imagine the employees would even be comfortable with.
It is.
And I'm
yeah, it actually won't work for us to go to bi-weekly again because of the PERS reporting piece. I would have to be able to separate out like when weeks cross a month, I would have to be able to separate the pieces out for the month, and I can't do that in our QuickBooks. So it's what works with PERS, with our QuickBooks, with all of those pieces. This is what I was able to arrive at as the solution.
Cool. Well, I'm ready to make a motion that we change our pay periods to reflect the new paydays and pay periods, paydays.
Okay.
I'll
so
second
Do I
that.
have a second? Okay, all in
Peggy?
favor, say aye.
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 Thank
All
you for doing all the work you've had to do on this.
Well,
Phoebe,
thank
for sure. Yeah.
you guys
Okay. Well, that's it.
for
Then meeting-
making it work so last minute. It just
Yeah.
makes my brain feel better to start it in a new calendar year and start this fresh out. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thanks for making it so easy to do this.
Yeah. It was a wonderful thing.
Guys, enjoy your evening.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.